Hello and welcome to the show. This week we look at some of our favourite cars from the recently released November Speedpack.
The first car we are going to be reviewing is this, the Lamborghini LP700-4 Aventador. Now, in my opinion, this car is one of the best looking cars ever made, along with things such like the Ferrari 458 Italia and the Lamborghini Miura. It has a hefty price tag of 400,000 credits, but you do get a lot for your money. A 6.5 litre V12, developing 700 horsepower and 0 to 62 in 2.9 seconds, so this car is no slouch by any means. It has a 7-speed single clutch gearbox which can change gear in 50 milliseconds, which I'm presuming is fast. And through the corners I was quite surprised because this car develops quite a lot of understeer. Admittedly it has 4-wheel drive, but I was not disappointed, but I was surprised that this car didn't have the sharpness as a SV or a Sesto Elemento. But down the straights it was incredibly quick. The acceleration on this it's amazing. You don't realise how fast it is until you actually drive it. But enough about the downsides. This car is one of the best cars I've ever driven, by a long way. Sure, the handling may not be as responsive or as sharp as I would have liked, and the 4-wheel drive, as you can see there, is a bit of a pain, but these small little faults get wiped away by the good things, such as the 6.5 litre, the V12 in the background, and having 700 horsepower under your right foot. This car will make anyone have the biggest smile on their face, and I haven't driven a car yet that I can say that I like this much. If I had the money, I would go out and I would buy one without a shadow of a doubt. This car is this good, and the interior is just fantastic. I mean, the dials are brilliant, LEDs, and I just love this car. I love everything about it, and the understeer is a bit frustrating at times. But then when you get onto a long straight, 700 horsepower, it's just incredible. And this car, I personally think, is one of Lamborghini's greatest ever achievements. I think we're all going to miss the iconic shape of the Murcielago, but I think that Lamborghini have lived up to the expectations that everybody wanted them to. This is a brilliant car, and I think it's as good, if not better, than the Murcielago.
Over the years, Aston Martin has made an incredible number of truly outstanding cars. There's the Aston Martin DB5, a truly iconic British car, and along with the Jag E-Type, probably the best car Britain has ever made. There's the 1977 V8 Vantage, which at the time was hailed as the first British supercar, with its 5.3 litre V8 propelling it along to a top speed of 170 miles an hour. There's the V12 Vanquish, or Vanish, if you happen to have watched the Die Another Day film. A brilliant looking Grand Tourer, and a car which every time I see, I can't help but look for the machine guns and missiles sticking out of the front of it. There's also the Aston Martin DB9, a car so cool that Top Gear had to make its very own fridge. There's the V12 Vantage, which is kind of like a baby DB9, just with a monstrously big engine, which means it goes like stink. And there's the DBS, which is a slightly more powerful and slightly lighter version of the DB9. And bringing us up to date, we have the Aston Martin Rapide, a four-door saloon along the lines of the DB9 for the businessman with a family who wants to get where he's going in a hurry. Or there's the Aston Martin 177 for the millionaire who has pretty much everything else. Having made so many good cars, whenever a new Aston comes along, it certainly has a lot to live up to. And here it is, the Aston Martin Virage. And, well, I can't help but get a sense of deja vu. The Virage is a very good looking car, don't get me wrong, but it looks very similar to all of the recent Astons, with the exception of a slightly different front bumper and a slightly different rear bumper and slightly different rims. This car is pretty much a DB9. Admittedly, if there was a car you were going to design your car to look like, it would be the DB9, but I can't help but feel that I would like the designers to have been a little bit more creative. But looks certainly aren't everything, so what is it like to drive? Well, it has a 490 horsepower V12, meaning there's plenty of grunt, and it will power it along to a top speed of 183 miles an hour. But it's important to remember that this isn't a sports car. Like all Astons, it's built really as a Grand Tourer, and it's more at home with long cruises rather than ultimate lap times. This car is also no lightweight, weighing in at nearly £4,000, which surprisingly is slightly more than a DB9, and with so much weight, if you do get it wrong, you certainly do know how to. Although, I don't think this car is hard to drive. If you drive it sensibly, it's up there with some of the best Grand Tours ever made, and if you were to go up a cruise up for Jimmy, say, with some of your friends, you can't think of a car I'd rather be in. There is a slight problem, and it's not with the car itself, it's with the competition. For 70,000 credits less, you could have an Aston Martin DB9, which, for all intents and purposes, is pretty much the same. I can't help but thinking that the DB9 is the better value for money. Before we move on, I'd like to take this chance to introduce Jay, who is going to be our sort of American correspondent. Correspondent? That sounds far too posh for first gear. American colleague, there we go, that'll do.
When you hear the names Mopar or Dodge mentioned, you typically have visions of drag races featuring cars like the 1969 Dodge Charger SRT. Cars such as those ruled their era, but that was admittedly a long time ago. Recently though, the Dodge Charger has undergone another makeover, and that's what we're here about today. Dodge's new 2012 SRT8 Charger is a prime example of traditional American performance. It boasts a 6.4-liter V8 engine that kicks out just over 470 horsepower. It also has rear-wheel drive and a flashy colored paint job. It'll go from 0 to 60 in just 5.1 seconds and has a top speed of 185 miles per hour. After all of that, you begin to wonder why this starts out as only a B-class car. But when you look at the car's weight and realize it's more than 2 tons, it makes things a bit clearer. It sort of taints the whole experience to know that it could have been much better if they hadn't made the car more than 600 pounds heavier than the 1969 version. I might just be clutching at straws though, however, but now it's time to see what this car will actually do. Charger was surprisingly responsive for its weight, actually. It stayed quite composed whenever you want it to, but once you start to drive it, you never really want it to anymore. It's just so much more fun to drive sideways through corners in it. The only gripes I'm left with now are cosmetics. The front end of the Charger looks like it was modeled after a Mitsubishi Evo, and the new side moldings, although an improvement from the '06 model, look like they were taken directly from a Hyundai Tuscany. Those things aside, this is a proper American car.
With 3 cars and a track, the best thing we could do is put them all around and see what lap times they can get. I would like to point out that at this time Daniel's microphone has just decided to die, so you're going to have to put up with me talking for a bit. The first car up is the Lamborghini Aventador. Now, of all the cars we have here, this is the one that is most likely to trouble the top cars of the leaderboard. Off the start line, thanks to its 4-wheel drive system, there is limited wheel spin. It's powering down to the first corner now, plenty of speed. Stig brakes fairly late, it's good turning, but will it understeer out of the corner like a 4-wheel drive car normally will? It's a little bit, but sticking it nicely under control. Coming into Chicago now, will it understeer or will he keep it between the lines? It's going slightly wide there, but puts down all that monstrous 700 horsepower, and it's in a straight line again. Powering down to Hamhead now, it really does pick up speed quickly, this car. Heavy on the brakes for the tightest corner on the track. Taking a few cones with him. Again, there's still some understeer, oversteer there as well. Coming up to the follow through now, the fastest bit off the track. Stig's gonna have to lift through here. It's an incredibly quick corner. While the Aventador is good, it's not got that much downforce. Through the tyre walls now, how fast he's definitely pushing it through there. Second to last corner now, probably the hardest corner on the track. Bit of a lock up there, but still keeps it under control. Turning in, there's a little bit of understeer again there, but nicely under control. Round the last corner, cuts it nicely, and across the line. The Aventador did a time of 1:13.8, so it was close, but it still can't topple the Celine S7. Next up was the Aston Martin Virage. Now we already have the time for the DB9, so it should be interesting to see how close this car is. Gets a good start off the line with little drama, although a fair bit of wheel spin, and coming up to turn 1 is a little bit of understeer. He keeps it nicely under control. Is there going to be a little bit of sideways action coming out of the first corner? Coming up to the follow through now, Stig's going to have to lift off. This is a pretty damn heavy car. And through the tyre walls, how quick is it going to be? The answer's very quick. Making the camera shake nicely there. And coming up to the second to last corner now. Heavy on the brakes, squirms a little bit. This car is quite hard to slow down, but he keeps it together. There's a wheel nearly on the grass there. Camera on now, he's going sideways, he's over the bump, across the line. And the Aston Martin Virage did a 1:21.7, which is exactly the same time as the DB9. So these cars really are very hard to separate. The final car to go around our track is the Dodge Charger. Now, we know this car is unlikely to trouble the Astons and the likes, but it'll still be interesting to see how quickly it goes round. Come up to Chicago, it is a big, heavy car, but it has got plenty of power. Stig keeping it nicely under control though, not too much sideways action. Coming down to the Hammerhead, this is typically the corner the American cars are going to struggle on, it's very tight. He's heavy on the brakes there, he keeps it nicely under control, just about in between the lines. And as he exits the corner, is there going to be any sideways action? No, there's not. It's surprisingly composed. Now, on the parts of the track that the car is going to like the long straights, using all of its 470 odd horsepower. Coming through the follow through, there's a little lift, there's even a little bit of sideways action that comes out of it. And through the tyre walls, it's still pretty quick for a P-class car. Second to last corner now, and is he going to have any problems in slowing it down? No, he's not. It's turned in nicely. There's a wheel on the grass again, nearly, and round the last corner, and across the line just about. And the Dodge Charger did a time of 1:23.9, which, okay, isn't the quickest time we've seen. It's the slowest we've done yet, but it's still a good time for a B-class car. That's not quite the last we'll see of the Charger. Steve won't be very happy with us showing this clip, but he was trying to show off to some of the latest things, and, well, he spun it. And then he still did. So, on that note, it is time for us to end the show. Thank you very much for watching, and we hope you all enjoyed the show and will be with us next week. We promise we'll be less sensible as well. So, until next time, goodbye.